The pharmacist didn't know I was the man they were talking about. She was looking at the computer screen. My son was looking at my insurance card, and I was standing 3 feet behind him, holding my cane, listening to someone decide how much my life was worth. She looked up politely. The brand name medication is fully covered with your father's supplemental plan. Before I could answer, my son smiled and waved his hand. He doesn't need that one. The generic's fine. The pharmacist hesitated. There is a clinical difference. It's what his cardiologist prescribed. My son laughed. He's 78. He's not dying. For a second, nobody moved. The pharmacist's eyes slowly shifted past him, until they met mine. Only then did she realize. The patient had heard every word. She opened her mouth, closed it again, then quietly asked, "Mr. Whitmore, would you like to make this decision yourself?" Before I could answer, my son spoke over me. He gets confused. I looked at him slowly, carefully. The same little boy who used to cry if I caught a cold had just told a complete stranger that I wasn't capable of deciding which medicine kept my heart beating, and somehow, that wasn't even the worst lie he'd told that week. My name is Arthur Whitmore. I'm 78 years old. I've lived with heart failure for nearly a decade. Not because I ignored my health, because genetics don't negotiate. Every morning starts the same way. Blood pressure, pulse, medication organizer, breakfast without salt, a short walk around the neighborhood if my legs cooperate. It's not much of a life. But it's mine. And I'd planned on keeping it. People think getting old means you're invisible. That's not true. You're perfectly visible as long as someone needs something from you. Advice, money, babysitting, a place to stay, a signature. After that, you slowly become furniture, still in the room, rarely acknowledged. My son, Derek, wasn't always like this. When his mother was dying from ovarian cancer, he slept beside her hospital bed for 6 straight nights. He fed her ice chips, read her favorite mystery novels aloud, held her hand until the very end. I remember thinking, if he loves his mother this much, I'll never have to worry about growing old alone. Grief changes people, but greed changes them faster. After my wife passed, Derek insisted I move closer to his family. You shouldn't be alone. The grandkids need their grandfather. It sounded thoughtful, so I sold the old farmhouse, bought a smaller home only 10 minutes away from his. At first, everything felt right. Sunday dinners, birthday parties, school concerts, the grandchildren running into my arms the moment I arrived. Then, little things started changing. Derek began asking questions that had nothing to do with family. What are your monthly expenses? How much does Medicare actually cover? What happens to the house if you move into assisted living? He always asked casually, like someone making conversation. I answered casually, like a father who still trusted his son. Then came the appointments. "Dad, let me drive. You hate traffic." Soon, he was checking me in, talking to nurses before I could, answering questions meant for me, correcting me. "No, Dad, remember? The doctor said that last visit." Sometimes he was right, sometimes he wasn't. But something bothered me. Doctors slowly stopped looking at me. They looked at him, as though I had become a file, instead of a person. 3 weeks before the pharmacy incident, my cardiologist said something unusual. "Arthur, have you been skipping doses?" "No." He frowned. "Your refill history says otherwise. It shows delayed pickups." I stared at him. "I've never missed one." He turned the monitor toward me. There it was. Prescription delays, medication substitutions, insurance changes, all under my account. None of them made by me. My stomach tightened. I've never authorized any of this. The doctor leaned back. Then someone else has. That afternoon, I asked Derek. He didn't deny it. "I was helping. You don't understand insurance. I'm saving you money. I never asked you to." "You should thank me." I didn't, because something about his confidence frightened me. He wasn't asking permission anymore. He'd started believing my life belonged under his management. A week later, my granddaughter Lily accidentally handed me the wrong tablet while we were baking cookies. "Grandpa, Daddy says these are your cheap pills." Cheap pills. Not heart medication, not prescriptions. Cheap pills. Children repeat what they hear. They don't invent it. That sentence stayed with me. The morning we went to the pharmacy, Derek insisted on driving. I'll take care of everything. I almost refused. Instead, I decided to stay quiet. Sometimes, people reveal the truth when they think no one is paying attention. I had no idea. By the time we left that pharmacy, it wouldn't be my heart medication I was worried about anymore. It would be the reason my own son had been changing it behind my back. I didn't say a word on the drive home, neither did Derek. He probably thought he'd won. People like my son mistake silence for surrender. Sometimes, it's simply someone paying closer attention. That evening, I spread every prescription bottle across my kitchen table. Not just my heart medicine, everything: blood pressure pills, diuretics, cholesterol tablets, even my vitamins. For 40 years, I'd organized them every Sunday night. I knew exactly what each bottle was supposed to look like. One label immediately caught my eye. The refill date was correct. The prescription number was correct. But the dosage wasn't. My cardiologist had increased it 6 months earlier. This bottle showed the old strength. I checked another, same problem. A third, again, someone hadn't just switched brands. They'd been changing my prescriptions. The next morning, I drove myself to my cardiologist's office. I didn't tell Derek. I didn't want him there. Dr. Elena Brooks closed the exam room door behind her. "You look worried. I think someone has been changing my medications." She didn't dismiss me. She didn't tell me I was confused. Instead, she opened my electronic chart. For nearly 10 minutes, she didn't speak. She just clicked through refill histories, insurance claims, prescription authorizations. Then she slowly removed her glasses. "Arthur, who has access to your pharmacy account?" "My son, and no one else." She turned the monitor toward me. "There have been 6 medication changes. I only approved 1. I felt my stomach drop. The other 5? They were requested through your pharmacy profile." "I never requested them." "I know." Dr. Brooks immediately called the pharmacist. She put the call on speaker. "This is Dr. Brooks. I'm reviewing Mr. Whitmore's medication history. I need to verify every change made during the last year." The pharmacist sounded uncomfortable. Most of the requests came from his son. I assumed he had medical power of attorney. Dr. Brooks frowned. "He doesn't." Silence. Then the pharmacist quietly replied, "He told us he handled all medical decisions." I almost laughed, not because it was funny, because it was unbelievable. No court order, no legal authority, no signed paperwork, just confidence, and everyone had accepted it. Dr. Brooks printed every authorization, every refill request, every substitution, every note. One page stopped both of us. Under patient preference, someone had typed, "Use lowest cost alternatives. Do not offer premium options." I stared at the sentence. "I never said that, I know." She highlighted another line. "Discuss billing only with son, Derek Whitmore." Again, not my instruction, not my signature, not my voice. Someone had quietly rewritten the rules of my own medical care. Before I left, Dr. Brooks changed everything. New passwords, new pharmacy instructions. Verbal confirmation required. Photo identification required. No changes accepted through family members. She looked directly at me. "Arthur, I think someone has been managing your healthcare for financial reasons." The words hung in the room. Financial reasons. Not concern, not love, money. That afternoon, curiosity led me somewhere unexpected, the insurance office. I wanted copies of every claim filed in my name. The representative handed me a thick envelope. "I'll print the last 18 months. There were dozens of routine claims, then one unfamiliar form, a request for long-term care eligibility. I frowned. I never applied for this. The representative looked confused. It wasn't approved, but someone began the process. Applicant representative. Derek Whitmore. I looked up. "What exactly is this?" She explained carefully. "It's the first step people often complete before moving a family member into assisted living or a nursing facility." I felt cold. I'd never discussed moving, not once, yet someone had already begun preparing the paperwork, without telling me. That night, I couldn't sleep. Not because of my heart, because questions kept multiplying. Why save a few dollars on medication while preparing paperwork for assisted living? Those two things didn't belong together, unless there was a larger plan. The answer came from someone who didn't even realize she was giving it. Saturday afternoon, Lily asked if I wanted to see her new school project. She proudly carried out a shoebox covered with glitter. As she searched for it, several loose papers fell from her backpack. One landed at my feet. It wasn't homework, it was a brochure, a glossy brochure. Maple Grove Senior Living Community. Across the front, someone had written in blue ink, "Ask Dad after his next heart appointment." I stared at the handwriting. I recognized it instantly. Monica's. Lily looked down and innocently said, "Oh, Mommy and Daddy keep talking about that place." I forced a smile. "What do they say?" She shrugged. "They say when you move there, they can finally fix up your house." For a moment, I forgot how to breathe. I hadn't agreed to move. I wasn't even sick enough to consider it. Yet my son and his wife were already discussing renovations to a house that still belonged to me. I folded the brochure carefully and slipped it into my coat pocket. I hugged Lily goodbye, then I walked to my car. I sat behind the steering wheel for nearly 20 minutes without starting the engine. The medication, the insurance changes, the nursing home paperwork, the conversations happening behind my back, none of it was random anymore. Someone wasn't preparing for my future. They were preparing for my absence. And I decided right then I wasn't going to confront Derek. Not yet, because I had a feeling the truth was much bigger than cheaper pills. And I intended to find every last piece of it before he realized I was looking. I didn't hire a private investigator. I hired an estate attorney. People think those are the same thing. They're not. Investigators look for secrets. Estate attorneys look for signatures. And signatures rarely lie. 3 days later, I sat across from Margaret Ellis, a woman who had spent 35 years handling elder financial abuse cases. She listened without interrupting: the pharmacy, the insurance changes, the assisted living brochure. When I finished, she folded her hands. "Arthur, I want to ask you something that may sound unrelated. Go ahead. Where is the original deed to your house?" "In my fireproof safe. And who knows the combination?" "My son." She didn't say another word. She simply slid a yellow legal pad toward me. "Let's check." That afternoon we opened the safe together. The deed was there. My will was there. My late wife's jewelry inventory. Insurance policies. Everything appeared untouched, until Margaret picked up my durable power of attorney packet. She frowned. "Did you update this?" "No, it's not signed." "I know." She turned another page. There are fresh staple holes. I looked closer. She was right. Someone had removed pages, then carefully put them back together. Not stolen, examined, copied, maybe even replaced. Margaret quietly said, "Someone has been inside this safe." I immediately changed the combination. Then we went somewhere Derek never imagined I'd visit. The county recorder's office. Margaret requested every document filed under my name during the previous 2 years. The clerk returned with a stack of records. Most were routine. Property tax notices, itty easements. Then one document stopped us both. An online request for a certified copy of my property's deed. Request 6 weeks earlier. Requester, Derek Whitmore. Reason, estate planning. I had never asked for it. Margaret leaned toward me. "Has your son ever talked about putting your house into a trust?" "No." "Has he suggested adding him to the deed?" "Never." She nodded slowly. "Then why does he need a certified deed?" Neither of us answered, because we were thinking the same thing. Someone gathering legal documents usually isn't collecting souvenirs. The next piece fell into place by pure accident, or maybe luck. That Friday, Derek called. His voice was unusually cheerful. "Dad, how about dinner tomorrow?" I almost smiled. He hadn't invited me anywhere in nearly 2 months. "What's the occasion?" "No occasion. We've all been busy. We miss you." People who miss you don't usually start with your medication. They start with you. Still, I accepted because I wanted to see what he thought I didn't know. Saturday evening felt strangely rehearsed. Monica made my favorite pot roast. The grandchildren hugged me. Derek poured iced tea. Nobody mentioned the pharmacy. Nobody mentioned insurance. Nobody mentioned assisted living. It was almost convincing. Until dessert. Monica disappeared into the kitchen. She returned carrying a manila folder. "There are just a few papers we'd like you to look at." I looked at Derek. He suddenly found the tablecloth fascinating. I didn't touch the folder. "What papers?" "Oh, just estate planning." Margaret's question echoed in my mind. Has he suggested adding him to the deed? Apparently, today was that day. Monica opened the folder herself. Inside were diagrams of trusts, but portrait transfers, probate costs. She smiled warmly. If your house goes directly into Derek's name now, it'll save everyone so much trouble later. I looked at her. I'm not dead. No, but planning ahead is responsible. I nodded. It is. Then I asked the question neither of them expected. When did you request the certified copy of my deed? Silence, complete silence. Derek slowly looked up. What? The county recorder keeps records. You requested it 6 weeks ago. His face changed, not to guilt, to calculation. He was trying to decide how much I knew. I was just gathering information. So was I. Neither of us smiled. Then Monica made a mistake, a very expensive mistake. She sighed dramatically. Arthur, at some point you're going to need full-time care. I'd rather make decisions while you're still capable. Still capable. There it was again. The same word Derek had used at the pharmacy, the same quiet strategy. If they convinced enough people I couldn't manage my own affairs, eventually someone might believe them. I stood up. I think dinner is over. Derek finally spoke. You're overreacting. No, I've been underreacting. I picked up my coat, then Noah quietly tugged my sleeve. Grandpa, he whispered so softly only I could hear. Dad cleaned out your mailbox yesterday. I looked down. What do you mean? He said your mail belongs at our house now. My heartbeat slowed, not from fear, from certainty. I finally understood. Prescription notices, insurance letters, bank statements, purported tax reminders. If my mail stopped reaching me, someone else could control what I knew. I knelt beside Noah. Thank you. He simply nodded. Children notice everything. Adults just forget they're watching. The following Monday, Margaret helped me place a temporary hold on every major financial account I owned. We redirected all mail, locked my credit, changed every password, cancelled every authorization Derek had ever received. Then she made one final phone call, not to the police, not yet, to Adult Protective Services. She believed there was enough evidence to suggest a coordinated attempt to manipulate an elderly person's medical and financial independence. I wasn't seeking revenge. I wanted protection, but none of us realized. An APS investigator had already uncovered something at the pharmacy that neither Derek nor Monica knew existed. Something that would turn their careful little plan into a criminal case. The first person to knock on my door wasn't a police officer. It was an investigator from Adult Protective Services. She introduced herself as Evelyn Carter. No badge on her belt, no dramatic entrance, just a notebook and a calm voice. Mr. Whitmore, I'm here because someone appears to have been making medical and financial decisions on your behalf without legal authority. I stepped aside. Please come in. For nearly 2 hours we talked. I handed her everything: the pharmacy records, the insurance changes, the assisted living brochure, the request for my property deed, the notes from my cardiologist. She didn't interrupt once. When I finished, she closed her notebook and asked one question. Has your son ever had access to your online pharmacy account? Yes. She nodded. We thought so. I frowned. What do you mean? She reached into her briefcase and removed a sealed envelope. Yesterday we received records from the pharmacy ABI. They found something after reviewing their audit logs. Every change made to my prescriptions, every request to substitute medication, every instruction to remove premium options, every account update had been made from the same device, Derek's phone, not assumed, not guest logged, with dates, times, and IP addresses. There would be no misunderstanding, no blaming the pharmacy, no claiming someone else made the changes. The records told the story better than any witness could. But that wasn't what shocked me. Evelyn slid over one final page. It was a transcript of a recorded customer service call. The pharmacy automatically recorded all account management calls for quality assurance. One call had been flagged. A male voice said, "My father's doctor always prescribes the expensive version. Switch him to the cheapest option unless he specifically complains." The representative replied, "Sir, I need your father's authorization." The voice answered, "He won't know the difference." I stared at the transcript. I didn't need anyone to identify the speaker. I'd heard that voice for 48 years. APS immediately referred the case to the state attorney's office. Not because of the medication itself, because impersonating a patient and altering medical instructions without authorization can carry serious legal consequences. At the same time, the pharmacy permanently revoked Derek's access to my account. Every medical provider on my file received written notice. From that day forward, no one discussed my health with anyone except me. It was amazing how quickly people started looking me in the eyes again, instead of over my shoulder. 2 weeks later, Derek appeared on my porch, alone, no Monica, no children. He looked exhausted. "I just want to talk." I stepped outside and closed the front door behind me. "What do you want to say?" He rubbed his face. "I was trying to save money." "No, you were trying to take control." He shook his head. "You don't understand. The house, the medical bills." I was thinking ahead. I nodded slowly. "I know. You were thinking about my future. I was thinking about yours. Those are two very different things." He lowered his voice. "They're talking about criminal charges." "I know. You could stop this." I looked at him for a long moment. Then I quietly answered, "I didn't start it." "You did. When you decided my signature mattered more than my voice. When you decided my prescriptions belonged to you. When you decided my life was a budget." He had no answer. For the first time in years, silence wasn't my surrender, it was his. He walked back to his car without another word. That was the last time I saw him. Months passed. The legal process took its course. Derek accepted a plea agreement that included penalties for unauthorized access to my protected medical information and fraudulent misrepresentation in managing my health care. Monica faced consequences for her role in the financial planning scheme involving my property documents. Neither outcome came from revenge. It came from records, audit logs, recorded calls, paper trails. Truth leaves fingerprints. My cardiologist saw me 6 months later. She smiled after reviewing my tests. "Your heart is more stable than it's been in years." I laughed. "Turns out taking the medication your doctor actually prescribes helps." She laughed with me. Then she grew serious. "You also seem lighter." She was right. Not because life had become easier, because I no longer spent every day wondering whether someone else was quietly making decisions for me. The greatest surprise came one Saturday morning. There was a knock at my door. I opened it to find Lily and Noah standing there with their aunt, my daughter Claire, who lived 3 states away. She had learned everything that had happened and had petitioned for regular visitation with the children, while family court sorted out the long-term arrangements. Noah handed me a small paper bag. "We got you something." Inside was a weekly pill organizer, bright blue, each day labeled in oversized letters. A little note was taped to the lid. "Only Grandpa decides what Grandpa takes." I smiled so hard my eyes watered, not because of the organizer, because 2 children had learned a lesson that many adults never do. Growing older doesn't mean surrendering your dignity. It doesn't mean giving away your voice. And it certainly doesn't mean someone else gets to decide the value of your life. My son believed age made me easier to control. Instead, it gave me enough experience to recognize control the moment it arrived. He thought saving a few dollars on my medication wouldn't matter. He was wrong, because the moment someone says, "He's 78, he's not dying," they're no longer talking about medicine. They're telling you exactly how little they think your life is worth. And that's the moment you stop listening and start protecting yourself.